Hey everybody, welcome to our next exit. I just finished up what I think is a pretty good video. We've spent, as most of you know, the last 2 or 3 weeks out here boondocking in Arizona, and we've been doing it with some really great people that's really made it enjoyable. In one afternoon we had us and five other couples sit around and we just talked about RVing, the RVing lifestyle, solar, what we was going to do when we got tired of RVing, how much it cost to RV. Just all kind of conversations, topics came up. And this is a long video, but it is all about us 6 couples and our opinions about the lifestyle. I've got to admit, some of the audio, there's side-by-side four-wheelers that race by and diesel trucks race by and microphones crackling, and some people talk louder and some people talk quieter, so there's some issues with hearing some of the volume, but the content is there. If you're interested in the RV lifestyle, I think you're probably going to enjoy this video. It's kind of long, so I'll end it here real quick so we can get into the video, and I hope you enjoy watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. We'll see you on the other end of the video. Take care. Terry, you just got your solar hooked up.
Yes.
Right? And what kind of rig have you got? Is that a Winnebago?
Yes, Winnebago View.
And it comes with a little bit of solar with it.
200 watts from the factory.
And that ought to be plenty. That's way more than we got. That's plenty, right?
Anything's more than you got.
He's taking lessons.
So it's 200. Did you right away find out that wasn't enough, or it was?
What we wanted to do, it was not enough. So we actually took those down, converted those into being portable, and put 480 up on the roof.
So that's the portable ones that's down in front, huh?
Yes. Ah. It came with 200 watt flex panels that were mounted on the roof. And so we just framed them up and used them as portables.
And who did you go to, like that Build Solar in Quartzsite, or who put them in for you?
No, I put them in all myself.
Oh, really?
So I ordered all the parts separately. We went with Renogy panels and all Vitron controllers and BMS and all of that, and I did all the install.
So for that much solar, do y'all plan, I know you have 1,000 trails, y'all plan on doing a lot of boondocking, or 1,000, you getting out of 1,000 trails? Or?
No. This is so we have the flexibility to do whatever. You know, if you think about how people travel today, most full-timers, even the best of us do harvest hosts and things like that, and you need to be able to have your power with you. So we do wally docking.
Has it come in handy having this much solar? Have you?
Yeah.
Has it already? Huh?
Yes.
Nice.
How about you, Charles and Abby? You guys do a lot of boondocking?
We don't hardly. This is our first time actually boondocking out in the desert, and I was, I think, more excited about doing it than Abby was. But I think
I'm loving it.
You know, I think I can remember Abby making a comment up in Washington that she didn't want to do boondocking.
Yeah.
Did you have to drag her out here? How'd you persuade her to come to?
I had to twist her arm. She likes the full hookups, and
yeah.
But I've really enjoyed this, and I think you have too, haven't you? So all we have is our little Yamaha generator plus our rig generator, which we don't like to use because it's so noisy. But I think eventually we'll probably get a small
Delta.
Yeah. Small solar system, you know. But who knows?
What are your restrictions when you're using your solar and boondocking? Can you run your convection oven? Can you? I know you got long, pretty hair and stuff. Can you do all your hair stuff?
You talking about me?
Yeah, Terry specifically. I mean, are there any restrictions you have to monitor, or do you pretty much have all you need?
Yes. When we get in the coach, after all you guys go to bed, I chain her down so she can't do her hair.
Well, somebody did it, obviously.
No, this is natural.
This is boondock hair.
This is boondocking hair.
Boondocking hair.
Yeah.
Second day hair don't
matter. Do anything with it. Yeah.
No, actually, we have a 1,000-watt inverter, so we can't do things like a hair dryer or the microwave. But part of our goal here at Quartzsite is to upgrade our inverter, so that's part of our plan.
And are you going to do that yourself as well?
Yes. Yes.
And then Pat and Chris, you guys have got the perfect boondocking vehicle that anybody would kill for that wants to do a bunch of boondocking.
But it is, in my opinion, we don't have enough solar to sustain ourselves for a long period of time. So we're actually kind of learning from everybody else here. You know, probably going to get some ground-mounted panels and integrate that into our setup. Probably going to go to lithium, and we'll see how that goes. My friend Steve, who's mechanical electrical wizard down in Florida, we're throwing some ideas about, you know, how we can do some additional panels and those kinds of things to make us.
So you're kind of spending this summer on the West Coast where there's a lot of boondocking available to kind of see what it is you want to do and what you...
Right. Do we like it? And I think thus far, yeah, we do. And I think, you know, will it be the same opportunities as we head farther north, you know, on the west, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, those places, Oregon, Washington.
And you're saying you don't know if there's a lot of places available?
Well, I suspect there are, a lot more in the east. You know, you're not going to boondock much in the east.
Yeah.
You just won't do it. So.
And I think the difference is, you know, not talking about being able to boondock with your rig, but being out there by yourself as opposed to what we're all doing. I mean, this is a blast.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so this is one kind of boondocking in my mind, and everybody helps each other out when you have issues, and just the conversation around the campfire. That's part of why I love this. You can't really do this in a campground.
Yeah.
You can't circle the wagons,
Right.
and I love that.
I love that too.
So are y'all, y'all was with us?
We don't
at
have
first?
enough room to put solar on our rig right now.
You do or not?
We don't.
It's a little on the small side. If we do a trailer,
He's talking about the five.
Oh. I thought Scott's doing real good. He's looking right at the camera and just kind of right at Fred.
he's catching on.
You had me going. I said, what's going on?
Good
So
job,
you
Scott.
got 100-watt solar panel, and that helps keep your battery if you don't burn a lot
Oh yeah, and that one that you circled.
on the roof.
Remember that one you circled on the roof?
That was
So
I
they
wasn't
could
sure you
buy it?
could see it. I was 10 or 15 feet above your coach, so I couldn't sure. So you don't have? Do you have any ideas of solar, or
No.
you think we're doing just fine? We like our 1,000 trails.
We'll just go with what we got.
I think eventually I'd like to maybe change batteries.
Okay, I'm changing wines.
Okay,
Hey,
Fred, what do you think?
You guys can't say that? Jeez.
Well, if you've got a residential fridge, I mean, you almost have
I
to
don't.
have solar, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Whereas if you don't,
I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Propane. And,
yeah, I mean, that's what, you know.
And that's why you bought your rig for that. You bought that.
And I got that really cool grill that some people.
Yes.
solar. Propane.
Man, is he slow?
The grill. He's talking about your.
I know.
Oh, okay.
He's giving me a
propane.
hard time. I was trying to.
Okay, give it
Give
back.
him a little
He's
back
trying
while
to
we're
give it back.
solid for
It just
Jeff
didn't
and-
work.
Yeah, laid there.
What do you think, sweetie? Are you like enjoying the?
I enjoy the camaraderie that we have with all these folks,
Uh-huh.
and if it has to be done boondocking, so be it. It's fun. I
Yes.
enjoy it.
Good. Okay, Jeff, you're up.
That's a really long shower.
We're all waiting.
Whoever's the bravest can take a camera in there if they want to borrow it.
You really want to change this channel, don't you?
So y'all are going to the East Coast, or is there a lot? I don't know anything much about the East Coast. You thinking there's a lot of room for boondocking there?
Well, I actually grew up on the East Coast, so even if we just go to the places that I'm familiar with, there's a lot, yeah.
Can you give us a list of that for all our viewers so you'll have people to visit with when you get there?
There's the Northeast,
Yeah.
the Central,
And just look around, huh?
Southeast, yeah.
Well, there's also, you know, the casinos and Walmarts and Harvest Hosts and
We stay there, right? That's where we live.
where?
Walmart.
Walmart.
Walmart. Is there any such thing as circling the wagons?
In Walmart?
Walmart,
When
yeah.
we're boondocking?
Sure.
you could.
Have a campfire in the middle.
So kind of what you're saying is just it's one part of the puzzle. We're going to do
Yeah.
hookups. We're going to use
Right.
solar when we need it. We got it. We're going to go where we want to go and do what we want to do and have our power when we get there.
That's right.
We're
But
open
it
to
is
every
kind of hard
option.
to do something like we're doing right now with 5 rigs together, I
Yeah.
think, on the East
Yeah.
Coast. And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, this has been really interesting. So we stay out, and we have our fun, and
I mean, it's dead quiet at night. I didn't hear a thing last night after we
Oh, thank goodness.
closed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So,
Real quiet.
So what got you guys into RVing? Pat,
My fault.
either one.
no, I mean, go ahead. You can.
My fault. I had always wanted to. My dad was in our when I was young, my dad liked RVing and wanted to do it, and we tent camped. And my mom really didn't like it, so I think my dad's strategy was, well, let's get her in an RV and go on a vacation, and see if I can get her hooked on it. And so we rented an old Champion motorhome with the windows around the back. And I was quite young, and Pat was my boyfriend, and they actually brought him along because I think my dad thought he might be able to help with driving or something. So we had all of us kids had a great time. My mom hated it, and that was the one and only RV trip. So then later in life, my mom and dad moved apart, and my dad remarried, and he got to do his dream. And so my first husband and I ended up loving it too. And my first husband passed away, and Pat and I reconnected, and I said, would you ever consider RVing? And he said, well, sure. And so he agreed to it, and the RV that we have is what we ended up with. And he has loved it, because being in the Army, they camped all the time in tents, so this is a lap of luxury to be enclosed. And so that's what got us started. I think he's enjoying it, really.
Yeah, the more we see, the more I like it.
And you hadn't had any issues with connecting with your kids and family and that? Your
No,
mom?
I think today with Facebook and modern communication, it's totally different. There's a lot of research that has to go into where do you want to stay next and all those kinds of things. So I think the more groups like us get together that are from different parts of the country, the more that helps us too. You know.
I think it helps a lot. Yeah.
How did Terry or Cindy, either one of you, y'all started out with that great big, I'm sure you did a lot of research when you bought that great big one, and then you managed RV parks, you were familiar with them. Any suggestions or input on why that would help somebody decide? You know, we got all different kind of rigs, and people don't know what would fit me. Any
That's the
thoughts?
$1 million question. And
Yeah?
sometimes you just gotta jump in and get your feet wet and then go from there. I mean, that's what we did. We bought the big 45-footer and realized that's not what we wanted, and we had a lot invested in it, and we didn't really think we should get rid of it, but it wasn't what we wanted.
And what was the big thing, the drawback, why it made you make the decision, we don't want this because?
Mobility, being able to fit into small spaces, being able to fit into national and state parks, having to plan your day around where you're going to stop and fuel up because you needed truck lanes to fill up, and it was just too big. And we're campers. We like campgrounds with fire rings, and you know, if you want to stay at big resorts, then, and that's what we were doing, then we fit just fine. But the national parks and the state parks, which is what we're drawn to, are not. A lot of them are just not conducive to big rigs.
And there's a lot of that, maybe your lifestyle, you're more active and want to go to these kind of the national parks and stuff and get out and do stuff?
When we bought the Integra, we were in Texas, and Texas state parks are very conducive to big rigs. You can fit into almost all of them. So
everything's big in Texas.
Yeah, well,
right here.
And we just kind of had that picture, thinking, you know, we can get in. Why would that be a problem? And then we went out of Texas and realized, okay, we don't fit everywhere. So, yeah.
And I think if you were going to give any kind of a tip to a first-time RVer, it would be try to decide how you want to RV.
Yes.
You know, are you a camper or are you a luxury resorter? Cindy's sister and brother-in-law have a big Class A, and they go to places that accommodate that. That's their kind of camping. So it makes it, you know, very conducive for them. It wasn't so much for us.
So they're more the RV resorts.
Yes.
You know, where you've got the little casita. I mean, some of them, the pavers, and, you know, not gravel or dirt.
They go to some beautiful places.
Beautiful, gorgeous places. Well, and they're also military, so they have access to camps on bases, and those are usually very accessible.
I mean, I think you from my perspective, nailed it pretty good in that lifestyle. what do you want to see and do, or are you going to spend it? Like for us, I would say we spend more time inside than probably we would like to. But that's just what we're more comfortable in. At night, you're building a campfire, and we're saying, "Boy, it's a cold breeze. I think I'm going to go inside and read a book." But that more is up your alley.
We're the sissy lalas here.
All right. We typically get up in the morning and head out and go hiking or sightseeing or something, and then we come back and we have a campfire in the evening, and that's the way we like to do it.
And you want to be close to where you can do those things, and that's not on our A list.
It's outside. Our living room is next to the fire pit or under the awning. That's our living room.
Pearl, you all have been RVing for quite a number of years, though, right? I mean, and that's, I think, for a lot of us, we haven't. So I mean, we still want to. Like, we want to go in and see the Rock and Gem show that maybe you guys have done already 3 or 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 times.
We've probably done it and forgot. We don't remember if we did it or not.
So you can do it again.
Yeah. It's new every time.
It'll be brand new again.
Exactly.
I think that is true. I mean, we've only been full time in about less than 3 years, but we've had a big RV for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And
you said you had a truck camper at one time.
Yeah, and we had a truck camper for 15 years, and another Class A before that. So we've done a lot of that.
I think that's something we struggle with, is we're still trying to define our style of RVing.
It's a hard question
It's
to
a
answer.
hard question.
It is.
And that
it's very
dictates
hard.
what kind of a rig you want.
That's true.
And we're just talking about size. We hadn't even mentioned fifth wheels compared to trailers compared to motorhomes. I mean, it's a very complicated. Did anybody consider a fifth wheel, or
Yeah.
We
Did you?
Did you?
because of the toy hauler aspect? And why did you decide to go with the motorhome?
The $70,000 truck.
The big
Oh,
truck.
having to buy the truck along with it.
And then you're 65 feet long, you know. and-
Right.
Yeah, and then if you're using your tow vehicle, as I'll call it,
It's
to go
the
out and do
big-
excursions, that costs you a boatload. in
Yeah.
terms of
Well, and you
fuel
can't
stuff,
park.
too.
If you go to some small little towns or whatnot, you know.
You're driving a big dually into some small
Yeah.
town, or, you know, parking in Walmart, you got to park way in the back.
But then I know a couple couples who live in Northwest Ohio and they winter in Florida every year. For them, they leave a car in a storage unit in Florida, and they drive their fifth wheel, their huge fifth wheel, so they've got their home with them, and they park it in one spot in Florida for the season, and they turn around, they take it back to Northwest Ohio and keep it in their barn. I mean, you know,
And that's why I liked the fifth wheel, because it did remind you of a home.
Yes.
You know, you had a nice living room, you had a nice
Yeah.
big kitchen,
Island
you had the
kitchen,
bedroom, you know.
yeah.
And that's what I liked. But again, he was like, okay, we get the big truck, we go to the little towns, what are you going to do? And we looked for 2 years before we found the rig, and we changed our minds a few times. We went to RV shows. We drove up to Pomona a couple years and did their RV show and whatnot. Scott watched a lot of YouTube and
YouTube.
What's that?
It's like
You know.
really bad habit.
we drove up to Moore Park and we went to Tom Lindstrom's Newmark, and that's where we saw the coach we got. And we were sitting in it, and it was a warm day. We had the air conditioning on, and they were power washing, and we could have a nice conversation, and you didn't have to go, what did you know, you didn't have to raise your voice. It was a nice, and it had the toy hauler aspect. So, because he still has his toys. And that again was another thing that is part of why we have what we have.
Did you, Jeff? You're still working. Did you? It seem like for somebody that's still working, not moving, traveling the country around. Did you think about a fifth wheel? It'd give you more space or more economical?
We pretty much considered everything because we really didn't know exactly what we wanted or what our traveling style would be, because we were just imagining it in our head. Really, we were kind of living through other people as we were watching YouTube. We go, whatever we saw anybody do, because they made it pretty much look fun.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we would enjoy doing that, but you can't buy one size doesn't fit all. So I would say what would complement with what Terry was saying in terms of figure out what you're really primarily interested in doing, and I'd say complement that with what's the smallest space that you really think that you can live comfortably in. Because
why would you say the smallest? Why would that be a benefit?
But because you might immediately think I can do a Class B. Right, you just because you see other people living in a camper van, you go, I can do that too, and you might get in, you might be miserable. On the other end of the scale, you might go, nah, I think I need as much square footage as possibly can because I'm coming from a 3,500 square foot house. Yeah, you're gonna have to sit right here
Just
beside me.
We can edit this part.
You know, over to me, says you.
that out,
Thank
please.
you.
You're fine.
Oh, Scott says I can snuggle up to him.
Please edit that out.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Sissy boys can hang together.
That's right.
So you thought,
Yeah, if you're coming from a very large house, 3,500 square foot house, something like that, because some people come from large house, you might go, no, I need a lot of space. I just can't make that move all at once. I think we were more in that was a bigger factor for us initially because we looked at some of the smaller travel trailers because I was convinced at the time I was probably going to go with a real small travel trailer and a truck because it just seemed the most economical. Right? Ford F-150, they seem to be real reliable. They're fair. They're plentiful. There's plenty of them to find in a fairly small travel trailer. My initial cost, my capitalization would be pretty low, and then I'd figure it out from there, and I wouldn't have a lot of money. When we went and looked at them at the at an RV show, I was just like, I can't do this. I would be depressed every single day in this small of a space. I just couldn't do it. And that's when we looked at Class A's, and I said, yeah, this is more important for me than even if I lose some mobility in some of the parks. For right now, it doesn't seem, this is less of a sacrifice than that's less of a sacrifice not being able to get in certain parks than it would be every single day that I'm actually inside my rig and living. So I think if people can, and it's difficult to do because you won't know until you're really out here doing it, but if you can kind of figure those two things out and go, you know what, I could probably get by in a smaller Class A or maybe a really large C, and that'll really get me into some of the things that I want to do. Maybe that's the sweet spot for you. Or you might end up like us, say, well, no, you know, it's really not as important that I'm in every state park. Maybe 70% of the state parks or the national parks will be sufficient, and I'd rather have the more space to live in and the amenities. Or you might be the opposite way and say, you know what, actually I'm loving moving around every other day, and this Class B makes me so mobile I don't have to think about anything, but I can do whatever I want to whenever I want to, pretty much.
but how about the bathrooms and the kitchens? Have any of the ladies, which probably would affect more, had any issues with the RV bathrooms being smaller, doing your hair and just showering in a little shower? Is it doable, workable? No.
Scott and I are terribly offended that you don't think we consider our hair.
The kitchen, you can cook all the stuff you need to cook.
Yeah.
No issues at all.
Yeah, Scott and I, we can cook. We can cook everything we want to. We can do our hair and our makeup as much as we want to.
Did I say something about a new wife?
Yeah.
You can have a few minutes if you like.
It can be edited.
The most of you
I think it'll all be edited.
Starting on this end over here, is most everybody cook inside or outside? Do you use the kitchen, or I think the vision is we'll cook on a campfire and cook hot dogs and steaks.
No.
I mean, when we can have a campfire, I love to cook outside on a campfire, but we find most of the time, honestly, we use the inside. We use the cooktop for soups and eggs and pancakes, and we use the microwave really a lot for, quick meals you just heat up, sandwiches, things like that. And I just started to learn to use the convection oven, and I do have a 3-quart mini instant pot that I'm now really researching, ways to make that effective for us. And I'm also following people who are using it like with the Delta or with a battery, or when you're boondocking, if you can use your Instant Pot effectively, that would really help supplement, what we eat. We do like to sample the restaurants when we can, whenever we change locations. So that's one of our things. We just love to go to new restaurants and
learn the areas, yeah.
So
Terry and Cindy, I know you guys do cook outside a lot.
Almost exclusively.
Really?
Yeah.
How about in weather? Is that a factor?
No, we have an awning, so no.
She puts me outside no matter what.
That's my time. Get out there and get your stuff.
Honey, it's raining. That's okay. Get out
I can
there.
push the button. I can put the awning out.
Put the awning out.
He grills almost every night. We grill something, or we do the campfire. We have a little grill that goes over the campfire. We can do like little sausage packets in the.
When people hear this, they imagine in winters and all that, but y'all stay in summer climates probably. You move with the weather, so you can do that.
We follow the sun, so yeah.
And I guess y'all do too. Y'all move with the weather, or
I think isn't
not
that
so
pretty
much?
much
Y'all
what we
spent the
all
winter.
do? Because we
That's
move
kind of the point,
with the
yeah.
weather.
Yeah.
When it starts getting cold, you need to move.
I don't know. When there's a good tornado, I want to go.
Even a bad one.
Yeah, just a
How
chance
about
of
you,
seeing
Charles?
one's great.
We're like Terry and Cindy. We use the barbecue almost every day for barbecuing dinners, and then Abby will cook the sides inside. You know, if it's raining, then we'll use the convection oven and make something in there. But
So y'all are spending the winter in one spot.
yes,
Same way with Scott and Tammy, and you still cook outside and
Yes.
and like,
Every
to me
night.
that reminds me of camping more than, but that's
It's
the
just-
lifestyle choice. That's
it's-
how you like it.
To me, it's very convenient because it's not as messy, you know, and you
Keeps
don't-
the heat outside too.
keeps
when
the
it's
heat
warm.
outside, and you don't have all the odors in the RV from all that. So I think that's why we do it the most. And plus, I just like the barbecue. So
How about you, Jeff? Lori? Who does y'all's cooking? I don't really know who's the main cook.
Yeah, definitely, she's a really, really good cook, and I do
They're making some neat dishes
Yeah,
in Tennessee.
I don't cook. I do everything else with the exception of cooking.
Oh, wow, that's a bold statement. I'm not sure many of us guys could say that. Scott, how about you and Tammy? I know you can whoop that.
Scott does a lot of grilling.
Flat plate, what you gonna do?
Only to impress you guys.
Well, you did.
Getting rid of it as soon as we're done.
No.
Do y'all cook outside a lot? You obviously cooked outside quite a bit.
Yeah, just when the weather, you know, if it's really cold and wet, I'm not going outside no matter what she says.
Do you, like if you're eating inside, do you cook inside too, or you just cook outside?
Oh, cook.
No, I mean you as the man. Does Tammy cook? If
Oh,
you,
as the man. Not the sissy girl.
Remember
The
that.
man.
Let's pretend that you.
Man, wait a minute, let me sit up. As the man, I do cook inside too.
Do you? Does he, Tammy? He does.
He makes a good, what is it? Italian wedding soup.
Yeah, I mean
Yes.
soups and
Oh, yeah.
my dips and yeah, I cook. I like cooking. I don't do laundry.
Or dishes.
I do dishes, but I don't cook.
No.
Here's my dishwasher.
No.
Yeah, well, we don't use it though.
Yeah. I have a
How about-
dishwasher.
I think another thing you don't hear much. How about bugs? If I'm thinking about my husband wants me or my wife wants me to go RVing and all this stuff, bugs. If I'm not living somewhere where I'm around bugs,
Yeah,
has that been any? Do y'all run into bugs? Mosquitoes? Somebody was talking about mosquitoes. inside
yeah,
their RV.
we had in Badlands, we had like 100
Oh, it was
plus
awful.
mosquitoes in our RV.
Oh,
It was
my
awful.
God.
I've never seen it so bad.
And we went through like a month of spiders, just every day another
Yeah.
spider.
Yeah. Even in the car. Where was
Wow.
that?
Wow.
Like
Where were we?
from Texas to here.
Oh my God.
It
Wow.
was just, and I don't know, they may have got in there in Florida, and we may be the grandchildren that were coming around.
And in the car, I had one of those jumping spiders, and it was
What?
up on my visor.
Oh my gosh.
And I would look at it like this, and it would back into a corner,
Uh-huh.
and I'd relax to drive again, thinking he's going to hibernate, and he'd peek back over the
Oh,
corner
funny.
again.
So there's some wives saying, "See, I told you, I'm not going RVing." Have y'all run into any, where it's been a problem with bugs and stuff, mosquitoes, or?
Every once in a while, flies or little mosquitoes sometimes, but not like the East Coast or in the Midwest or something. West Coast not as bad as some other places.
Yeah, we hadn't seen
And
a
like
single
out in the
bug here.
desert, you know, you're pretty much.
Only a fool would be out here. Donkeys and fuel. How about you guys, Jeff? Is that it?
No, it's not
Or anybody had any problems with bugs?
No, we
Really?
haven't.
We found a
No
couple of spiders, but
whatsoever.
we,
Yeah.
like I said, we were on the East
You're too
Coast.
tall for
Mosquitoes, look, they're
I know.
going to be a problem
Yeah, that's
in
true.
a lot of places. It's just seasonal, and you're
They
going to
don't
have to
get
deal with them. But
inside.
we've not even experienced that much. I think we've had less bug issues in our RV than we did where we lived, just because we were so far out in the boonies and we leave our door open and bugs came in. It was just part of our living, quite frankly. So
Not an issue.
it didn't matter. Yeah.
Nothing with anybody else?
We did have ants. I mean, we got rid of them about a couple of weeks ago, but I mean,
Those teeny
really
weeny
tiny
ones.
ones.
Yes.
Sugar
And
ants.
we carried them for states. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They came
I don't know
from.
if we got them in
in
Florida or what, but
Probably.
They don't eat much.
crazy,
We
yeah.
did too, and it's amazing
Yeah.
because they crawl out of nowhere.
I don't know where they came from.
That's a
But he finally sprayed and we haven't seen him.
We always carry a thing of bug spray, and wherever when we haven't done it here, but we usually spray around the tires and the jacks and all that, so that
When we were at Pio Pico, I had some aunts and I met some gentlemen, And he said if you get the Tetro,
That's what
Yeah,
it's
that's what we,
those
that's what we
little
use.
things, they go right into that.
Sure they
Is
do.
it a trap?
It's a trap, and you just sort of take the top off and you place it where the ants are, and they just walk in.
Wow.
And don't come out.
No, they
Don't come
don't.
out.
Okay.
So I've used that to get rid of
Yeah,
them.
we'll
Have to
have
remember
to
that.
carry some of that stuff.
Tetro.
So any of the, it seemed like the questions we did are the husband saying that the wife doesn't want to do it, giving up the security and those kind of things. Is there any wisdom among any of the men or the women about giving up your home, selling your home, getting rid of your stuff, downsizing, and moving into an RV? Is it scary? Is it a good thing, or
Yes.
I lived in California, so it was a good thing.
Yeah,
is it a real good thing?
It was the right timing for us. I think it just depends on where you are in your life, really. I mean, we share a lot of commonalities, just I think because of our ages and where we are in our life. So we were ready, one way or the other. We were ready to move out of our house and downsize, so that we didn't know where we wanted to live because our children and families are on both sides of the coast. So there was no real place that we wanted to call home. So we said, let's just kind of travel around.
Find it.
Let's go travel
You said
around.
that awful bold, like you really had to.
Well, and
I had no problem selling the house, no problem tossing stuff in that dumpster that was sitting outside, and just getting rid of it all, and there we are.
So, go
well, I think all of us pretty much agree, and when we've talked even, life is too short.
It's
You know, we all have said, well, when I get older or when I do this and that, there may not be a tomorrow to do it. So
to do it mean an RV.
to do it in an RV, to do whatever, you know. I mean, that's just it. So
Did
if you
everybody get rid of your stuff? We stored ours. Everybody else got rid of it.
Got rid of everything. No, we stored.
Did you store some?
10 by 10.
Is anybody plan on buying a house when they're done RVing, or do you think you will retire in an RV or one of the little homes? Or let's talk about that. Kind of just go around. Where do you think when y'all quit? You just going into a house, or you're going to
I
stay?
see us probably moving, eventually into a very small house.
A house?
Yeah.
How about Terry and Cindy?
I think it's undecided at this point. All options.
What kind of
are on the
options
table.
what's the options on the top of your list? Because you've seen a lot. You've run RV parks and stuff.
Small house,
Small.
or potentially a piece of property with an RV on it.
Yeah. Nothing big again. I don't want any more square footage. If I did anything, it would have to be very small like this. I want simple.
So you think that you could retire in an RV, or you think it would probably involve some kind of park model or small house or something?
As long as we're able, I think we'll be in the
Assuming
RV.
we're healthy, yeah.
As long
Assuming
as
health.
we're healthy and able, we'll stay in the RV.
You think so?
There comes a time when we have some mobility issues. or
And that's
health
different,
issues
yeah.
of any other kind. Maybe we'd have to give that up. But yeah, I have no interest in another house right now.
How about you,
Same
Abby?
with us. We'll probably never own again.
Really? You think
Yeah.
you wouldn't? I would have thought you'd have said a house.
Now we have some land up north. We could, put a pad there and.
I don't think we're going to.
Yeah.
You think you would retire, assuming
In
you
the
stay
RV,
healthy and
yes.
not in a wheelchair or
Yeah, we'll
something
never
that
own a
forbid it?
home.
And you think, and your daughters are okay with that?
Well, what we might do is get a little mobile home and staying in one of those parks, but that would be down the road. For now, we might get a permanent pad and keep our RV there for the winters, but then we'll be on the road the rest of the time.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing.
And that's the plan for, like you said,
As long as you
until we're
can.
not healthy
Right.
anymore, because we had also no problem getting rid of everything. We don't miss any
Our
of
motto
it.
was less is more.
Less is more.
I have everything I need in there.
Yeah.
I hear
It's
you.
great.
It's a lot less stress having to worry about all these things.
You don't think y'all will do or you think y'all will do a house? I think I heard y'all say you thought you might.
Small
Yeah,
if we do,
small.
but it's a long time from now.
Long
We think
time.
so.
Until we just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, there were a couple options for us in terms of moving into something different. This was certainly one. I think this allowed us to retire sooner, which is why we chose it. But there's also a part of me that would like to have like a more sustainable style house, a small piece of property, something like an earth ship. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but something that's totally off grid where we could have some animals. We have some things like that where we could be totally self-sufficient if we wanted to. At our age, it's probably a little bit harder, so it's a little less realistic because it's, even though it sounds great in my mind.
Your age meaning you're old or you're young?
No, I think
Older.
I think it's a lot more work than I'd probably be willing to do with the animals and stuff like that. But if we move into another house, I would like to have
about you, Scott?
Well, it's property in Wilton.
Yeah.
So,
You're
you know, we're going to have a place to put the RV. Probably a small mobile home. And
So you bought a 50 by 100, is that the right
It's
size?
80.
80 by
8,000
100
square
lot.
feet.
8,000 square feet.
And you've got a couple of pads and some,
yeah, there's 3 hookups right now. Put a house on it, there would be 2. You know,
so you did it with that in mind, of maybe
Yeah.
building a small home, having your RV there?
yeah, something that we can just keep kind of putting something on if we wanted to, you know, update it, you know, improve on it.
You think 10 years you will be in your current rig on that property?
No, I'm winning the lottery.
Nice.
Well, we're gonna get a Delta.
But you got it set up for that. I mean,
Yeah,
y'all's is beautiful. You got that garage and everything. We got room to have the kids over. I mean, it's perfect.
You know, we'll have a big RV
Cover.
Cover.
carport.
There you go.
So, you know, we drive right in and stay for the winter, and then we can leave.
And how about you, Pearl? What are you gonna?
We're going to have a small house, casita, piece of property somewhere down the road.
When you go to sleep at night, are you gonna sleep in the casita or in the RV?
Casita.
It depends on how mad I am at my husband.
And where you'll sleep.
You know what's interesting
I would
though,
always
and I've
put him in
talked
the
to many
RV.
people that say this, after about 3 years of full timing,
I've heard that.
you're ready to
Come off the road.
Settled, yeah.
or slow way down.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
if you're bouncing the whole time, that's why you know
Yeah.
we can winter in one spot, and then we take off when the weather's good, and go see something
And
else.
like Thousand Trails, we stay the 21
So do we.
days. I mean, we don't move a lot.
I don't want to move.
Because that's just it. When we were, if you're traveling someplace and sometimes you're moving every day, that's just,
that's just
tiresome.
brutal. Well, we,
You know, or
we
even
did that
3
too.
to 4 days. It's like, I want to stay in one
21
place.
days.
So our Thousand Trails allows us 21 days,
Yeah.
unless it's a high usage like Morgan Hill. It's 2 weeks from June 15th to September 15th. You could stay 2 weeks. So yeah, we stay the 21 days and then we move. And we were talking about that. We don't like to drive any more than 200 miles a day.
That's
That's
us too.
I think that's more than enough.
Yeah.
You know, we did,
if possible.
if possible.
Yeah.
He did Birch Bay. We were all the way at Birch Bay, and he drove us all the way to Junction City, Oregon in one day.
Wow.
How far is that?
Too far.
What that means, is it 500 miles or
I
400?
couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
I just kept driving.
It was about a good 6,
The
7
people on the
hours.
cameras, though, they
Well,
don't
I-
have any. Does that mean
Yeah.
30 miles?
Basically, because I just didn't want to pull over and spend the night somewhere. I was like, I'll just get to the the place we're going to go,
Yeah.
and then shut it down.
So Thousand Trails, you're not Thousand Trails. You do military bases
Military and I guess boondocking now.
And state parks.
in state parks.
State parks, that kind of stuff, yeah.
State and national.
Any thoughts on Thousand Trails? Is it worth it financially, or
Yeah.
can you still get reservations?
I don't want anybody to brag about Thousand Trails because I don't want them to get busy.
Months of work.
It's too late.
Stop
We
talking
got
about
lectured
it.
about that just a while ago from Charles and Abby.
It's too late.
Keep putting that on YouTube, and everybody's filling up the spot.
Horrible.
There's
You'll
people
hate
that
it,
like
don't
Thousand
join.
Trails and people that hate it.
Exactly. It's either or.
Do you
Yeah.
know, an interesting thing I think would be to ask everybody how many miles they drive in a year.
In a year?
A year?
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
How many do y'all, or a month, or?
Well, so if you have location services turned on your phone, it'll actually track that. Google will track that for you. And I got an end of year report that said we drove 26,000 miles.
That's
26,000 miles?
Okay, we've only put about 3,000 miles on the RV. So the rest of it was all of our.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Or else you got lost a lot.
Well, that's-
Your GPS.
Listen to that GPS woman.
We do right at $800, $800 miles a month, I think.
but that's in your RV.
Yeah.
This
Oh.
includes what we do in our car.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
what we do in our car is just way more.
We definitely put way more miles on our Jeep because we look at our rig as kind of the base camp,
Yep.
and we mostly explore in the Jeep because it's a lot cheaper.
That's what we do.
Right.
More
And
mobile.
easier.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a little bit cheap.
well, we just spent the last 14 months on the road. What did we do?
It was like close to 16 or 18,000 miles just for the last year.
So 1,000 miles a month?
Over more than that, yeah. Because we went all around the circumference, but then of course we were going into Kansas and back out again and down.
I think
to
that
Florida.
explains the lifestyles. Like you, obviously, guys do a lot of traveling when you get there. We don't do so much. Y'all are in the middle.
Yeah.
Kind of. You got any idea about you guys?
Yeah, we'll probably travel more in the Jeep once I'm not working.
How much have we put on?
Oh,
the
you
cash
probably
so
will?
far?
Yeah, I think we'll drive more because that's kind of our ideal too. Is we'll set up base camp somewhere, probably for 3 weeks at a time. 2 weeks, I think, would be the quickest we would want to move. So unless we just got somewhere we didn't like and then we would choose to move on. But 2 to 3 weeks we'll be at an area, and from there we'll just cover whatever. We'll go sightseeing whatever is within, say, a 50, 60 mile radius of where we are, and then we'll move on.
So how many miles did we put on the rig?
Last year we put about 10,000 miles, but most of that was really just coming from New York to Arizona, out to the west coast.
Well, I'm showing from Welton to Birch Bay, because that's pretty much the top where we
Where is
went.
Birch Bay?
Birch Bay is in
Canada
Washington.
border.
It's
Top.
right on the top of
The
the border near
Okay.
Canada. And then all the way back. So we did over 3,020 miles, about 3,020 just in the RV. And then, like he said, the Jeep, we did a lot more, you know.
You think there's any chance y'all did any kind of mileage in your Jeep, like Terry and Cindy did?
When we
That's
were in Maine in 2018, we put 5,000 miles on the Jeep and barely touched, Maine.
And how
We
much
did a
time?
lot
That's
along
3
the
months
coast.
you was there.
About 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Maine's big.
But that's still not as much. That's 2,000 miles a month. What
Yeah.
you're doing?
Yeah. Well,
That's a lot.
It's kind of interesting, we look at our credit card statements at the end of the month, and we're averaging 50 or 60 a month in diesel fuel for the coach, and
Whoa,
$300 or
$50 or
$400.
$60 for diesel
For
fuel?
diesel,
Yeah.
that's all?
Yeah,
I was
Wow.
gonna
Wow.
yeah.
I'm selling mine right now.
Well, but he
I'm going to buy 2 of those, and I'll still get
yeah,
it.
but he puts a lot more in his Jeep, though, I guess.
That's exactly
His and her views.
And how much in gasoline for the Jeep?
200 to 500. It depends. Yeah.
A month?
Yeah.
yeah.
It seems like every
Terry's
day
like,
we're
okay,
filling
we
up
need
with-
to
Our Jeep gas
look at that.
pretty much equals our, diesel.
Or
in
Cindy's
most months.
like,
And
okay,
we've
that's
been,
enough.
moving a lot with both vehicles here recently. So.
I mean, that's the first time I've heard anything like the numbers y'all talking about. But knowing
Yeah.
the little bit I know about your lifestyle, first I would say that's too much, but I can see that. Because you do,
Understand it now.
every time we'd see you, if you weren't expecting us, y'all were gone.
You're gone.
Even when
Adios.
we were expecting it.
I can edit that out. I'm sure that was
Hint, hint.
That's kind of how we felt when we got here.
No, we didn't let them know we were coming, though.
That's it.
We
I thought you were
surprised.
talking code. I thought it was sure that other
Yes.
you know, I said, how did they find this?
Oh, you should have heard what he said after that.
Yeah, they were in the coach.
We were in the coach.
They were in the coach.
It was a
waiting for you.
rockin'.
I think another key aspect of this lifestyle, though, is go into it eyes wide open with what it's really going to cost you. I mean, it's not certainly not cheap. I suppose you
No.
can be very frugal, but then I don't feel like you're living either.
Right.
We want to go out and see and explore. Every now and then we'll do what we say is a 0 day, where we're mostly hanging around the base camp. But I want to go out and see things. But that's because we're fairly new at doing this. And a lot
Does
of the
anybody want
rest
to
of
throw
it I
out a
haven't
number of what they think somebody watching that they should shoot for, or at least have a certain budget number?
I think you should expect. Well, it just depends what you're used to as far as your lifestyle. But if your normal lifestyle, aside from having a house and what that entails, everything else is pretty much the same. And I would think that minimum 30 or 3,000 a month minimum, and probably 4,000 a month would be comfortable as an average for your average RVer. I mean, I know when Abby and I
Now
got
that's with
into it-
Thousand Trails, probably. You're
That's
picking it
with
and using
Thousand Trails, yeah.
Without Thousand Trails, it'd be more.
Yeah.
when Abby and I got into it, I guess I thought it'd be a lot cheaper, and it really isn't. I mean, eating out and gas and maintenance and things you want to see and do, it adds up quick. And unless you're just hunkered down in your rig and you're not going anywhere and doing anything.
So y'all are the only ones that don't have 1,000 trails.
Right.
And we kind of budget about $750 a month for campground fees is what we'd like to stay at, about $25 a day. Sometimes it's above that, sometimes it's below. This is really nice because it's like $3 a day. But yeah.
Well,
and we also found early on, not being members of Thousand Trails, that if you stay at a campground at least a month and commit to that and pay in advance, your cost goes down dramatically.
Yeah.
So right away, when we stayed in Maine, that was the first time we realized, oh, you have like a monthly, rate. And we were such newbies, and they said, oh yeah. And when we found that out, well, we thought we'll just keep a base camp here and do a lot of day trips, which is why we ended up with 5,000 miles on the Jeep.
Right.
But we were saving so much on the camping fee, not being Thousand Trails.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
So I guess $750 a month is about $9,000 a year. So I mean that's a big chunk of change.
I would think living a comfortable, not trying to save money, just going and doing it. I mean, real easy. You're looking at $40,000 or $50,000 pretty easy.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
I
thought you said 250,000.
You're
That's
being
what you were
wrong.
saying.
Well, I'll be darned.
Oh, that is a big
Every way.
We're backing away, backing away.
Gotta find out what
He got the hell out of
channel
here.
we're on.
So that's probably more Terry and Jeff. But if somebody was wanting to boondock, probably you wanted serious boondocking. You want to get solar. Any hint on things that they need to start their research to figure out how much they need, or any help?
I mean, you should absolutely do an audit of your systems.
And how would they? You say audit? How? Well, I don't know how to do an audit.
Well, you can go through every system on your RV. I mean, there are measurement ways, but literally you can just look at the labels and add up the wattage that everything uses that you're going to use on a regular basis, and try to provision your system to.
But if I don't even have my RV yet, I can't look it up. I don't- Can you give me a?
You probably have your hairdryer at home,
Yeah.
your Instant Pot, and
But you're not going to run your air conditioner no matter. I mean, unless you've got like
Yeah.
3,000 watts of solar.
even then.
Yeah,
it's
you're not
just-
going to run an air conditioner. So everybody.
But it
needs-
seemed like to me 800 is like about the lowest that you could get to comfortably say I can support my lifestyle, roughly.
Probably.
You've got just under 800, don't you? But you've got a smaller.
680.
You've got a smaller RV.
Yeah,
You've got 690?
680.
680?
And are you? Is that enough? Is that where you're at? You're good with that? That seems to support.
This is actually a test, so
Yeah.
we're trying to evaluate that.
I haven't heard a
think-
generator run over there.
No, you won't hear that. I think from a solar perspective, we feel pretty comfortable with what we've got. I wish I had room for more batteries, because I would like to have more capacity to work from.
So when you harvest it, you got a place to store it.
That's right. 'Cause
Yeah.
we got to 100% and shut off about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. So we could have charged a lot more.
I would have plugged the Delta in over there. And
We're the opposite. We don't have room for more solar, at least up on the roof. We got 840 amp hours of batteries that we can, put into this thing. So, yeah,
You got plenty of place to store it, but you can't harvest it.
But
Right.
we've got to do portable, like what Terry did with their existing.
Do you have any thoughts, Jeff, or input?
I think you could get by with less. I mean, everything. People probably hate hearing the answer, but it really depends. Like for us, the pivotal point is in your high
Is what?
current devices,
Oh.
like your convection oven. So if you're going to be using if you're cook a whole lot and you're going to use your convection oven, you're going to need a lot more solar, because when the convection oven's running, it's pulling about 150 amps DC, which is about 1,800 watts. So you can go through some battery pretty quickly at 1,800 watts. So if you run the convection oven for 2 hours a day, that's going to be a big percentage of that. But if you're not running it at all, if you're just cooking on the stovetop with propane, or you've got a propane oven, I think you can get by with easily 400.
So why
frankly.
did you put 800 on your RV?
Because we factored in using, say, like our convection oven. I kind of did the math. I created a spreadsheet, and I said on average, I'm probably going to use the convection oven an hour a day. I'm going to use my television, this one in the front, this in the back. I'm going to be running the inverter this much a day. So I just kind of did the math, and I said this looks like pretty much a sweet spot for us in terms of how we're going to.
To me, 800 is a number that I see a lot. I see why you could do a lot less, because you cook out all the time. So the convection oven is probably not running that often.
And we also
But
have the
actually,
generator.
when we upgrade our inverter, we'll be able to do that as well, and that may change the equation. We have room for more solar. We just don't have room for more battery, and that's the big kicker for us.
And you've only got 200 amp hours, and you don't have room for more. Yeah, that would be a little bit of it.
I would have to take one of my storage bins or something like that and move the batteries there. So I could probably do 5 batteries. Is your cabinet locked?
It is.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I know.
Is there any logical reason why it would be locked here among friends?
Yeah. There is. No, but I would say if you don't have solar, don't let that be a deterrent from coming out. And
No, but I think a lot of them are curious about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think
What would it cost for somebody to have solar done? Say 800 watts of solar if they had an RV with no solar.
If they did it themselves, as
No,
opposed
most
to...
of them can't. Let's assume they can.
I don't know the pricing, and it probably varies a lot for the labor depending on who you get it done. So I can't really comment on that.
$5,000 to $10,000.
That seems to be a common number. It sounds high to me, quite frankly. The biggest expense is going to be in your lithium batteries. Your lithium batteries are anywhere probably from like $700 on the low end of the scale up to probably $9,000 to $1,000 for 100 amp hours or 1,200 watt hours of batteries at 12 volts. So that's hopefully they'll come down cheap. You can probably get them cheaper than that if you try to build them yourself, or maybe buy some used ones. That's really your biggest expense. Like those solar panels, those were less than $200 a piece. You pay about $1 a watt. So you got a 200 watt solar panel. I think we paid $185 for those. It's not really that's yeah. The charge controller's another $300.
But if nobody knows nothing, I would think $5,000 would be.
I'm going to say 10 to 20 on a big rig. Because there's a place up in Oregon, they're about 20,000
to install.
But
that's
everything.
And
Very
that
high
includes
end.
their labor and everything.
Does that include the lithium batteries?
Yeah, that's everything.
Everything.
And they're pretty high end. They you know.
Yeah, I would think that'd be
Well,
high end.
The 3 days that we boondocked with you guys and we had our 100, we ran our generator for probably about it averaged out to 2 hours a day. And we were fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we spent out most of the time outside.
Yeah.
So we did pretty good there too.
And I didn't use the microwave or convection oven. I mean, it's stovetop or grill. You know, you just accommodate for what you're doing.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
probably going to be a quality of life decision, not a financial decision. Because quite frankly, I mean, we had a 7,500 watt diesel generator in our coach. We already capitalized it. We had it. Quite frankly, I could have bought, even though we chose to upgrade to lithium and add some solar, I can buy a whole lot of diesel for $10,000. So I can't really make I can't get a return on investment on that unless I live to be 200 years old or something like that. But it's more about being out somewhere and not running your generator, and just the whole idea of self-sufficiency, being able to harvest your own energy is just, there's a cool factor, neatness factor to it that's nice. But I'd say if you got a generator, take advantage of it. If you've got lead acid batteries, you use them, and then run your generator an hour or two a day and top them off, and don't let that be a reason not to come out and
we
enjoy
hardly
it
used any
outside.
gas. You know, we had pretty much full tank, and when we left, maybe a quarter of a tank was gone. So really, it didn't,
Yeah, that worked out good. That was a fun time.
And some people are more concerned about things looking janky. I'm kind of not. So like, experiment with it. You can buy a cheap charge controller for probably $150. Get some panels, mount them on the side, and connect them directly. Run a cable from your panels to your charge controller, and then another cable to your batteries, and just sit there and harvest the sun.
Harvest the sun.
Yeah, there you go. And once you go, yeah, this is good, then maybe climb on the roof and install them permanently. But you can certainly get started for pretty cheap if you want to.
Let's kind of wrap this up, kind of going around and answer any one of these three questions. Okay? And when I ask it, we'll start on your side and then I'll go around. But
excuse me.
All those beans last.
And just give an answer. Hopefully all three of them, if I can remember them all three.
He's taking off.
That breakfast bean burrito was wonderful.
The length, what you think your choice of the length of the RV you would get and the type of the RV you would get if you had to do it over. What for your lifestyle, for what if you was going to get another one, how would you get and what kind of motorhome or fifth wheel or?
I think at this point in our travels, it wouldn't change a thing.
Wouldn't change a thing.
Not at this point.
Definitely the same for us. I mean, there's no way we would change it. It's kind of interesting. We were at an RV dealer because we love to look. We're not interested in anything, but it's cool to see what technology's coming around. And I sat up in the front end of a 44-foot Newmar, and I looked at the front because now I'm used to driving this little Mercedes. And I looked up at the front, and it just seemed so huge. And I thought, there is no way I want to do this again.
More place for those rocks to hit.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're happy happy with what we got. This is
Just
it.
the way it is.
We've
Abby?
done our perfect choice.
I think you're going to say the same. Don't you feel that's just perfect?
Yeah,
We wouldn't
we're
change it.
very
You say what it is though, so they know.
It's a 35-foot Class A Tiffin,
okay.
open road, and it's been ideal for us. It's, you know, we would have loved to have the 40-foot, but we thought as far as maneuverability and getting into places, 35-foot was the sweet spot and that's why we went with that, and we are very happy.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, we've got a 2004 Holiday Rambler. It's a diesel pusher. It's 40 feet long. It's a single axle. It's no tag axle. Yeah, I think we're very happy with it. I would like to have had a 4-slide, the bedroom, just the way, because we have a bath and a half in ours, and the way the bath near the front, the half bath near the front, it makes it a little tight around the bed, so we would enjoy having a 4-slide. So if we did that, if we had to go over it again, we would do that. But I think the size is perfect. Although I would like to have something that actually has a full-size washer and dryer. We have a washer and dryer, but it's
Combo.
It's one of the combos, and I don't know. It gets the job done.
Takes all day to do it.
But you really need to wash a load of clothes every day to kind of to keep up with it. And if you let it pile up, you're going to be sitting there feeding the washer and dryer. I think that's very trivial. First world country kind of problem, right? So other than that, we're very, very, very happy with it. Love motorhome. Motorhome, to me, Class A motorhome with a Jeep Toad is like.
Or traveling, the traveling.
It couldn't be better for us.
If you're doing 6 months somewhere, then maybe a fifth wheel. You get more.
Well, yeah, but we don't even want the extra space. I mean, it's really the space is right, the layout is right, because they're really
Canyon Star.
Yeah, they're good for 2 people, and that's what we primarily are the majority of the time. So yeah, we couldn't be happier.
Okay. Scott. Yeah.
Got the Newmark Canyon Star. It's 40-foot toy hauler, and for us, you know, that's it. We have the motorcycle and toys and
electric bikes.
Yeah, so it works. But I'm gonna win the lottery, and then I'll get my pre-vote.
Yeah, that's right.
And stay in the RV resorts.
I do. For us right now at this point, yeah, it does. We've got, when we're stationary somewhere, even for the 21 days, it's nice having that garage to have extra, you could just stick stuff in there. We had the grandkids for 2 weeks during the summer. They had their own room, the bunk beds. Like we said, ours sleep. It says it can sleep 10, sleeps 2 perfectly. Mm-hmm. But when we have the grandkids, it sleeps 4 wonderfully.
Yes.
And what would you say?
And what would I think? Well, we've got the 42 10-foot. I would go a little bit smaller. I don't want to go a lot smaller, and I would rather have the full washer and dryer as opposed to the washer dryer combo.
Yeah. You need to pray
and an oven and a microwave that works. It's not dead.
Wow, that's not very much at all to ask for.
No,
you're worth it, Bob.
I think at Walmart microwaves probably.
Maybe what you get. I would agree. All we've got's what I would keep. I like exactly what we got. Okay, we can get in the sun, guys. Thank y'all very much. That's it. That's pretty much our opinions. They may be different than yours, but it's pretty interesting. Is I think you can figure out we all kind of do it a little bit different. Just as 6 different couples here, but it'll give you an idea if you're thinking about trying this lifestyle. If you're thinking about retiring, you're thinking about the RV lifestyle, and if you've got $40,000-$50,000 a year of income, I think you ought to seriously consider giving it a shot and doing a little research. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until we see you again, keep your wheels rolling. Stay safe. We'll see you guys at the next exit. Bye-bye.